Okay, I'm recording.
Okay, cool.
What we
Well,
recording?
I hate your movie. This is the first, first episode. Oh, sorry.
Let me intro it.
You're introing. Oh, we didn't
yeah.
discuss this. You're the main guy.
Oh.
Okay.
Not the main guy.
Just because you bought all the equipment and it's in your your studio. Yeah, it's your thing. Ooh. Intro away.
Welcome to I Hate Your Movie with Dan and Rick. Ever since we watched an infamous movie called Pig, and we had equally opposite opinions on it.
Truly terrible film.
A truly wonderful piece of cinema. We realized it's kind of fascinating how we disagree on films, so this is why we started this podcast. It's called I Hate Your Movie because we make each other watch movies that is out of someone else's comfort zone, right?
Yeah, exactly that. We both consider each other to like a wide variety of films. There are like the good, the bad in the films and all that kind of stuff.
Good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, and the ugly. See what I did there? Tied it in.
Nice.
On the fly. You couldn't tell. But there seems to be like a massive like gap. Like I don't really like old films. I don't really like the Sundance films, the critically acclaimed ones. And Dan generally doesn't seem to like pop culture films.
Yeah,
so.
There's a few exceptions, but
yeah.
I get bored with like standard kind of storytelling. I look for the weird and the interesting. But actually, today's movie is not so weird in that sense. It is quite standard for the 60s and the early 70s. I made Rick watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. How many like westerns have you seen?
Not many.
You told me that you hate westerns.
I don't enjoy them. I find them all to be similar. I think it comes from like I used to go around like my grandparents' house when I was a kid, and they just Channel 4 on a Wednesday because you only had 4 channels, and you just had to. It was just westerns. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And people just standing around staring at each other.
That sounds amazing to me. All westerns all the time.
It was just awful. Just sitting there watching westerns, and they're so similar. Like all of them are so similar.
Yeah, but you haven't seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is like the quintessential western.
Yeah, well, we'll come to that in a bit.
Okay.
Like I wrote a review of kind of what I thought of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I'm hoping to if we kind of release that review at the same time as this comes out.
Okay, yeah, of
then
course.
You can kind of see my point of view, not just from a haha jokey sense, but why I think it's not very good.
All right, I'll hear you out. Even though we usually disagree on films, I do think your criticism are very interesting. It's usually something I haven't even considered. So this is why I think it could be interesting. I tasked you to summarize the movie in one sentence.
One sentence, yeah. So this comes from one of the notes I wrote when I was watching the film. So my one-line review isn't gonna make any sense at all. But it's cannons, cannons, cannons.
Okay, it's lots of cannons.
Cannons, cannons, cannons. It comes from a note I wrote. Running, running, running. Cannons, cannons, cannons. Graves, graves, graves.
And people, people, people.
Yeah.
There's lots of people.
There is lots of people.
Lots of like production values. Must have been like one of the most expensive movie made at the time.
Yeah.
It's called Spaghetti Western because I assume because Italy gave like tax reductions or something. Lots of people are dubbed in the movie.
Yeah.
The whole movie is dubbed. That's how Italians make movies. They get people from all around the world, and then they speak their own language, and then they are dubbed over later in English. And then some of them was really obvious and distracting.
Yeah. It's quite a common practice. They do it a lot in like Eastern Europe as well, where like they're filming outside scenes and that entire scenes are dubbed.
Yeah.
Because they do it for that, they just do it for the whole film.
Yeah, it's cheaper. It's cheaper that way because you get like 5 voice actors.
Okay.
And then because of like the sound equipment doesn't have to be carried around all day and things like that. So, what did you think of this film?
It was long. It was ridiculously and unnecessarily long for what it was. I mean, even when we were watching it, like an hour into the film, you were like, oh, now the film starts.
Yeah. The story starts. The story starts in an hour into the plot, to be specific.
You could have easily boiled that down to an hour and a half, 2 hour story packed film.
Yeah.
And you didn't. You just, like, for the first 10 minutes, did you know? For the first 10 minutes of that film, nobody speaks an entire word of dialogue.
I know, that's a positive to me.
They're just. It starts with two men having a staring contest. Like, it's an interesting thing to happen. Because there's one down the end of the road and one down the other end of the road. And they're, like, looking at each other. Because I thought they were going to fight.
Yeah.
But no, they're not.
They're slowly approaching a bar.
Yeah, they're just staring at each other.
Yeah.
Just pointlessly. Why are they staring at each other as well? Why aren't they staring at the bar?
Well, they are. That was kind of the bait and switch, because you think it's going to be a showdown, but they're actually there for just to see one guy. I think all of those things that you describe, the length of the movies, to me, is like vibes and tension. And if I understand if you don't feel the tension,
No, not
then
at
it's
all.
really boring to you. But I did. I thought it was amazing. It's an amazing movie that holds up amazingly well.
And then the men jump through the saloon doors, I think, and then like bam, 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 and then the ugly jumps out the window.
Yeah.
Like, why has he jumped out the window? The second he jumped out the window, I was like, yeah, this is going to be a bit silly, really.
Well, there's comedy in it, which was a thing I really noticed this time, especially with editing, is where you think a scene goes and then cut, and it's a different thing.
Yeah, I mean, Tuco definitely was the comedy element of the film.
Yes.
He was there for comedic purposes.
When I last watched this movie, like about 10 years ago maybe, I was a big Clint Eastwood fan, and I really love him as a filmmaker and an actor, both. But this time, I was actually like, Tuco, yeah, hell yeah. Maybe because I'm getting older and the coolness factor doesn't really care. But that guy, that Jewish man in brown face, he really stole the show.
He did.
Not even just comedically. Like when he meets the priest, his priest brother.
Yeah, again, see, that, for me, that entire scene can be cut. Like, there is no point of that. They just happen to be in a place. Oh, it's your brother. Oh, there's a scene. And then they leave. And it has no impact on the rest of the story whatsoever.
That's not true.
Wow.
The impact of the scene is Tuco's like character arc, which, to be honest, doesn't really land very well.
Yeah, so it's pointless. We were talking about the pointless brother scene that was not necessary at all. And it's another 10 minutes of the film that could easily be cut out.
Right, so it wasn't. The important bit in that scene is that Blondie, the good, he watches that. And he kind of has a change of heart about Tuco, in that he kind of starts to trust him, or not even trust him, but feel bad for him. Because Tuco says, where we come from, we're either a bandit or a priest. And then he kind of starts to feel bad for him, which is he could leave him behind, because Tuco tells him the cemetery is, but he doesn't leave.
Okay.
And that later pays off in the showdown, which is he kind of saves Tuco.
Yeah, but the most of the film is them two on their journey. Yeah. They already team up when they go to the end of the railroad thing, where they're walking through all the little town and they're shooting everyone. So they've already teamed up. They can already trust each other without that scene being in the film. The end of the film, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen the film made in 1967, the end of the film, he leaves him like hanging on a rope and he like runs away and he leaves him stranded in the desert again. So like, what was the point? Like, he obviously doesn't feel that bad for him, and he obviously doesn't trust him that much.
But he doesn't leave him.
He does, but he's still in the middle of like this graveyard desert place on his own with like a ton of gold that he can't carry. In the end, Clint Eastwood leaves him high and dry.
Yeah, kind of. They don't have like a standard Hollywood character arc. It's more like a flat line that's interesting to me. Because they're not like they start in a place and then they end in a place. They're pretty much the same all throughout. But you learn more about them, and then their kind of relationship change.
I just didn't see it change from start to finish. Like, at the start, they're an uneasy team, and at the end, they're an uneasy team. In fact, they're worse off by the end, in that he leaves him stranded in the desert with a grave with loads of gold that he can't possibly carry.
There's some resources, a few miles back where that was that bridge. So it's not that completely impossible.
But the point is,
Yeah.
the brother scene could be cut. Like,
Okay.
you could,
I don't think so.
even if you start, because like you say, they start and end in the same place on their kind of who they are. It doesn't matter then. You could cut most of it.
What
and still-
matters is that the Clint Eastwood character learns about Tuco, and he feels sympathy for him, and that's clear.
And how does he show that sympathy?
Well, mostly through acting, if anything. And then the other bit is he could just go get the thing now. Tuco tells him where the cemetery is,
Yeah.
so he could just fuck off now and just leave him, but he doesn't. And it's hard to explain because I think it's through acting mostly, because it's giving looks like, well, can I trust you? Well, I've heard your backstory, so, I will for now, kind of deal.
The point is, the film still would have made sense if you cut out. You do that. You get something from it, and that's cool because you like the film. But for someone who just thought the film was way too long, you looking for bits to take out, the plot still would have made sense.
Most of the reason you watch this movie is for the characters. I think that's why it's a part of a trilogy, like Cornetto trilogy, but it's not the same characters. It could have been called, because it's called Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More. Could have been called Dollar Something Something again.
Well, it's a prequel.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I looked up some fun facts about the Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Go on.
Yeah. So it's kind of a prequel. At the end of Good, Bad, and the Ugly, you see Clint Eastwood pick up his poncho that he then wears for Fistful of Dollars and a few more dollars. Would you like to hear more fun facts about the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly that I looked up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm completely unprepared, by the way. I spent all week just setting this up, and then I forgot to do my homework.
My fun fact, which is probably my favourite thing about this film, is that the pitch was just like the guy who gave the pitch just made it up on the spot. They were like out, the film executive, and they were like, okay, we really like these last two films you've done. What's your next one? And he was like, I've got this idea about 3 people and finding gold and blah, 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 blah. And the film executive was like, yeah, cool, let's make it.
Yeah, well,
Very much comes across in the film.
no. It's got a strong plot. It takes a while to
Meandering
get.
nonsense.
It takes a while to get to, but I don't think all those scenes are useless. So you learn about the characters.
You can learn about them quicker. You don't have to take 10 minutes to learn one fact about a character. You just...
Well, it's 10 minutes is underselling it. It's more like half an hour each character.
Well,
Kind of.
exactly.
It was necessary for the film. It was.
Cool. So I'm going to leave my last fun fact about the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly until later. I'm gonna make you wait for it.
Oh, no.
It's a big fact.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So the first, so I was really distracted in the first like half hour of the film by Clint Eastwood's scarf. Okay. He's wearing this really like trendy, thin grey scarf with like little frilly bits at the end, and it's completely out of place with the rest of his wardrobe. Mainly because he's in the desert. Why is he wearing a scarf? It's not like a scarf as in round his neck, but it shows to me that in the first half hour of the film, whenever he took the scarf off, that's what I noticed the most, because nothing else was happening.
That's not true. We're learning about the characters.
Yeah.
We're learning... One thing I noticed this time is that this movie is very bleak. It's like very cynical and like sarcastic. Like, for example, when the little names come up, the ugly, the bad, and the good. When the good comes up, he was doing something horrible. Like,
Yes, this is one of my main points as well. Like
that's on
in
purpose.
the thing that I wrote is the good is not the good.
No.
In any way, shape, or form. He is an awful person.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, you meet him and he's, you're like, oh wow, he's taking that outlaw to jail, and then he frees the outlaw, goes to the next town, swindles them out of their money.
But I think that's by design. That's definitely by design, because the title card flashes up when he's like splitting money with Tuco. You know, like the good. Yeah, that's supposed to be the good in Western society. He has the biggest moral compass, I think. He definitely is the only one who thinks about what's good in his world and what's bad, you know?
Yeah.
Not that fits with society's good and bad definitions, but I think he's the one who thinks about it most.
Yeah, but then he still does
Yeah.
kind of the opposite of what a good person in society would do. Do you know also, I didn't write it down, but it is one of my fun facts of the film.
Okay.
Clint Eastwood, or the unnamed person,
Blondie.
Blondie, has the highest body count out of all
really?
of them, out of everyone. He kills the most people.
That's hilarious.
And it's by a long way as well.
Oh, really?
I can't remember the actual numbers, like I didn't write them down. But it's like the bad kills like 4, Tuco kills 5, and he kills like 13.
Again, I think that's not a criticism. I think that's by design.
Which is good, I suppose. Like it's you don't have a traditional good guy, and that's generally what the kind of film that I'm into, that kind of takes the idea of good and sees what happens if you put that in a bad situation and what that does to someone, and can they keep their morals alive. But I just feel it didn't really land, because he still thought he was good. He still thought he was...
Yeah. It's probably like the best person in town. But that's just kind of like the social commentary of this film.
I also don't understand just Westerns as like a genre.
No?
No. So here we go, some more fun facts.
Go on.
Did you know, like, the Western era only lasted about 20 years? That was it. Like, there was a period when, because the Wild West, there was people where people traveled out west.
I thought you meant the movie era.
No.
Oh.
So people traveled out west, and then for like 20 years it was a bit, and then everything calmed down.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't think it was ever like in this movie.
There is some things like that.
I mean, I know. It's all like fantasy for me. I'm not looking for like realistic portray of, things.
They did shootouts. They genuinely did the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
stand
I
out.
bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That was duels back then as well.
yeah, but like, because the guns were so inaccurate, it wasn't like a quick draw.
Yeah.
It was like stand there and hold for like a couple minutes, and there was times where people were shooting at each other and they had to stop, reload, and then start shooting again.
I know a fun fact about that too.
Yeah. Fun fact.
Fun facts. Fun facts with Dan and Rick. Also, I hate your movie. So, like, these kind of westerns heavily were inspired by Akira Kurosawa films and samurai films.
Okay.
And the westerns were more influenced by like samurai culture than actual like cowboys. It's kind of interesting. The quick draw thing was a samurai thing, which is
Just with swords.
with swords. Yeah,
Just standing really
Yeah.
close to each other. Quick
Because-
draw.
yeah. That's what really happened in some. That's how samurai duels happened. It's like who can, because it wasn't like a sword duel like back and forth. It wasn't like fucking Return of the Sith and a killing Obi-Wan for like half an hour nailing it. It was literally, as you take out your sword, you kill the other person, and who can do that faster and who will move faster, kind of thing. And that's where that comes from, as far as I understand.
But surely that would just end in a draw every time. You would just kill each other.
I don't know.
Because even if you cut someone across the chest, they would still take a while to die, and therefore that would give them time to, or at least you would simultaneously swing.
They also have
even if it's like swing, you would still, unless you swing and then move back.
swing and move back. They also have the law of like honor, so maybe they just like, well, I accept defeat.
Yeah, true.
Maybe it was like that. I don't know. I'm speaking out of terms now. I just know the quick draw. That's where that comes from.
Well, that is a fun fact.
Yeah. And these samurai films and western films are really interconnected. Magnificent Seven and Samurai is the same plot.
Okay.
And yeah, so these kind of cultures are a bit interconnected and taking from each other in film language.
I don't understand the appeal of westerns at all.
I like the slowness. I like that it's like taking its time. I like that you just kind of get immersed in the movie. It's not a kind of movie that has to start with like a explosion in the first 5 minutes kind of deal.
Yeah.
I like the world. I like the characters usually. It depends on the western, but yeah.
Okay. Very well, fair enough.
If it's whatever genre it is, if a good film is a good film, and I think this is a good film.
I think we can both agree that the bad guy is the bad.
Yeah.
I think, though, that his introduction was incredibly heavy-handed.
Okay. Have you seen that scene before? And you have,
Okay.
but I'm not sure you remember. There's one director in the modern age that likes to steal a lot from this movie, and like stealing it might not be even like a strong word for it. Heavily influenced by this film. Quentin Tarantino.
Yes. He loves a good Western.
Yeah, he does. The first 5 minutes of Inglourious Basterds, when the Nazi guy comes in and takes the food from the little farmer guy who's hiding the Jews.
But aren't they hiding under the floor and stuff?
They are, yeah, but that's the difference.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much the same scene. He comes in.
But it's pretty much, that scene's been done loads of times. Bad guy walks in, calm, cool, collected, coolly threatens the guy. The guy, says no, and then he murders everyone.
Well,
that's not just Quentin Tarantino. That's been done.
Specifically the food bits, taking the food and then breaking bread together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's like a interesting twist on that scene, which and being at home, weirdly personal thing, and that you just someone crashes it without saying a word and then just eating your food is kind of weird.
Yeah, but it's not just that. So that scene, fair enough. He's bad. He's killed the guy. He's killed the son that's running down the stairs at him.
Yeah.
But then he goes back to his employer and murders him.
Yeah.
And then he was like, yeah, I think he gave me some money to kill you because I've been hired by the guy you've asked me to kill.
Yeah.
You.
That's hilarious.
It's ridiculous.
I know.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Well, it's a terrible way to run a business if you're killing all of your clients.
He's after the big money. That's why he's after this gold.
Yeah. But, you could have had the first scene, he's cool, he's calm, but he's still murdering people. He's clearly a psychopath. You didn't need the next one where he goes and murders an old man in his bed.
I think you needed that. I think you needed to show that he's a complete cold-hearted bitch. As I said, like, the only person who has a moral compass in this film is Clint Eastwood, and he's the bad Angel Eyes is the most far removed from that, which is he does not care at all, has no morality whatsoever.
Yeah, again, I feel like you understood that perfectly well from the first scene. You didn't need the second scene.
But if you only have the first scene, then what differentiates him as the worst guy? Because then he could be similar to Blondie.
Not really, because a killer for hire is different from someone who commits crime to get by. Mm-hmm. Blondie's going place to place. He's earning money in between, whereas this guy is literally killing people for money.
Yeah.
That would be the difference.
Yeah,
and I think that would make it even better because it kind of then you've got that question. You've got that kind of blurred lines between the good and the bad. Forget the ugly. And that would make it a bit more of like a moral question, whereas it was kind of with that scene, you've got like, okay, he's bad. All right, yeah, we get it, he's bad.
I like the extra edge though. I like it. It would have been like a far more standard.
But that surprises me because you normally like the subtleties. You normally like the grey areas, and there's no grey area in that. He is just evil, kind of.
Yeah, but I think it's just well done. Like he's kind of like a mustache twirling villain, but in terms of the film dynamics and the characters, he works well. He works well in contrast to the other two characters, even though all of them are horrible.
Yeah, it's like you could have that scene, and then he walks out the door from killing the old guy and kicks a puppy. It would be completely unnecessary. But yeah, he's evil now.
It was more tastefully done then.
No, he kills an old man, like a dying, like a really.
Yeah.
He kills a sick old man in his bed. It's not tasteful at all. There's nothing tasteful about it.
Well, more tasteful than on his way out he kicks a puppy. He could have killed that donkey that was going around and probably like crushing some wheat or something.
Yeah, but it was heavy-handed and unnecessary. And again, it's another scene you could cut.
No,
it's another 5 minutes of film.
Which bit? The old guy killing?
Yeah, the old guy killing. That's easily another 5 minutes of my life I could have got back.
No, because you see, so the first half of that scene, it makes him bad. And the second half, the old guy killing makes him horrible. Like there's different levels there.
Yeah, but then you could have just subtly, that's it, done. And then you're like, who's the good? Who's the bad? That's
As-
an interesting film. Then it's
As
not
the
just
antagonist,
some evil person going killing sick old people.
as the antagonist, he needed to be like really bad,
Why?
and because like you need to set up your bad guy as a formidable villain who's like really cold-hearted and really would do anything for the prize money, which is the whole plot.
The first scene with him establishes that,
Okay.
and it's the same.
Wow.
Same again with
I think it needs that edge. I don't really think it does. It would miss some, like, it would just be boringer, without that.
boringer,
Boringer, yeah.
more boring.
Boringer.
New slogan.
Be boringer.
Disagree. Well, that's the point. Let's move on because we disagree, and that's the whole point. Right. What else do I have in my notes? Right. Yeah. It's a tiny note, but I didn't really. It was weirdly comedic in the middle of the film where Tuco goes and gets a gun.
Yeah, I love that.
He's just. And like every gun in there is interchangeable.
Yeah,
every single one. He just
I don't
starts
know.
picking guns off the shelf willy-nilly, taking them apart and putting them back together because every gun is interchangeable, obviously. It makes total sense.
To be honest, that seems... I have no idea, right? But that seems realistic to me for the time.
Okay.
Which is there were 3 manufacturers making guns, and it was pretty much the same type, right? I think so.
Yeah, maybe. But that scene goes on.
Yeah.
And it goes through, and it's kind of, it's like I say, it's the comedic scene. Goes out the back, shoots the targets, shoots them forwards, shoots them sideways.
Yeah.
Like you do. Because every gun is like super accurate.
But you need to show he's a good shot.
You do need to show he's a good shot, and that's fine. And then he robs the...
Yeah.
And then he robs the shop owner. Like, the shop... It's such a bad business model. This guy's just... just have a gun, have some live ammo.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, and now I'm being held up at gunpoint. Who the funk?
So you're telling me that was a good scene, right?
It was funny.
Oh, okay.
Because it
There we go.
it was ludicrous.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I'm not looking for realism,
But it's like such a weird film, like scene to have in the film that's like all slow and like just staring at each other and like shootouts and that, and all of a sudden he's just really like something straight out of like a like a Western version of Airplane. My next note, and I can't really remember the scene very well, but it's why don't the brothers believe he's alive? He goes and hires some people.
Oh, yeah. All right, I have a problem with this scene.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a scene where Tuco goes and meets his like brothers, which might not be even like his brothers. I think it's just bandit friends, gangster friends. This scene, I didn't like this scene, and I didn't remember this scene, and it was weirdly blurry as fuck.
Yeah.
It looked shit.
Yeah.
The dub was even worse off. I think this is like kind of discovered scene and put back in.
Okay.
Because, so I have lots of gripes with Amazon Prime. They like just shove it on there. It's so lazy. They just find a version. It doesn't even have to be like the right aspect ratio. Nothing. They just shove it on there. They don't give a fuck. I really don't like them. That scene also. From that scene on, I'll be watching with subtitles, mostly because of me. From that scene, the subtitles were off. So I think that's like a discovered scene that they put in like as an extra.
Okay. But yeah, they was looking at him and they're like, oh my god, I don't believe you're alive. Tuco died in the desert 3 years ago. And but like, you're looking at him. Like, how do you not believe he's alive?
Yeah, I don't like that scene.
It didn't make any sense at all.
You changed so much since 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen you since you were 33.
I haven't seen you since you were Jewish and you had a white face. Tuco's pink umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
What?
What's your problem?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a perfect match to his scarf.
Yeah. He's a funny guy. He steals a bunch of shit.
Okay, yeah. I actually didn't think about that.
Yeah,
it's probably something he stole from like a...
lady.
From a lady. That makes sense. Okay, fair enough.
I'm winning.
I tell you what I did have here. Right, you ready for this? Good makeup effects.
Okay.
I liked it when Clint Eastwood was going through the desert and then he's really out of water and his face starts to get all cracked up.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was well done. It was weird. His recovery was weird. It's just like
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
Takes a sip of water.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good now. All of my skin is healed. It's
They
good.
say it was weeks or something. I think they say 2 weeks. But like
Okay.
it was just like a sudden cut. There was nothing in between, you know.
Yeah, and also from that scene, I think is that where he's unconscious? Because
He's like he's like half awake kind of thing.
yeah, so like, well, they're dragging him to go to a bed, and I think it's like one of those actors stipulation things somewhere, because at no point does his head like sink.
Oh, okay.
He's constantly like he's unconscious, but his head's perfectly upright, like all in full view of the camera, so you can always see his face. It's just it was just like, it just reminded me of like I said, those actors things where they're like, oh no, I can't be on the ground for more than 5 seconds. I have to win the fight. Blah, blah.
Yeah, maybe. Or it could be like an old Hollywood thing where it's like you need to see the star of the film.
Maybe we're gonna have a fun fact.
Oh, go on.
Because reminded me of Clint Eastwood's star power. This film nearly didn't get made, or at least it got delayed by a long time because Clint Eastwood was negotiating his contract. He did not want to do a third film.
Kind of made fun of in, again, a Tarantino film. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Kind of DiCaprio character is kind of based on him. And yeah, DiCaprio says like, I don't want to go to Italy anymore to fucking make westerns. I'm fucking done with them. That was kind of him.
Really skipping through my notes now. My next note was pointless brother scene, because that's where it happens in the film. Because it's pointless. Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite bits of the.
As in genuinely or ridiculously?
My only favorite parts of this film are ridiculous ones, because they
Okay.
are not actually my favorite parts of the
Alright.
film. It's the favorite parts of Root Canal.
Okay.
You know, the favorite part of Root Canal is when I was hallucinating on the meds and I saw a donkey climb through the window, kind of thing. It's when they're walking down the hill and they're like, oh, I wonder how far it is to the next thing, and they get like jumped by these troops and the camera pans around and there's this giant like internment camp or something, a giant like army camp, and they just didn't see it at all.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That was a bit silly. Not even not see it, but don't hear it.
Yeah.
There's so many people there.
It's at this point of the film, the budget of the film seems to absolutely skyrocket.
Yeah.
Like it gets ridiculous.
Sometimes it's like, there's so many people, they like have to sit barely, like they touch completely.
Yeah.
There's so many people.
But
And-
it's like, that's like a really good idea of what an army camp would look like. Like
Yeah.
people on the front lines and that.
I wonder if you agree with this. This movie portrays war great, I think.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and like how miserable everyone looks, and like everyone's just like wounded and looks shit and disheveled. That guy they meet in the camp, the
drunk
guy,
guy who's in charge.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Absolutely. Do you know he was told, the director was told not to set the film during a civil war? He was told that films set during the Civil War were like not going to make money. They were like Hollywood curses.
Yeah.
That none of them made money beforehand, and he was
It
told,
is kind of
"Absolutely don't do
true.
it."
It is kind of true. Those movies don't make money, but for this movie, the Civil War is a backdrop.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like just lingers there as this bleak, horrible thing that constantly happening while they're having this adventure.
Yeah.
I kind of love that.
Well,
It's
it
great.
causes an extra element of danger in the whole
Yeah.
thing. That's the point of it. It's not just like, how are they going to get across the desert of the gold? How are they going to get across the desert plus through all the troops? And that works.
Well, for me, thematically, I think the war element is about kind of showing like this whole money business doesn't matter at all, because like people dying all over the place and the world is horrible. And that's what this movie is. It's showing you the world is horrible and these three people run for this money greedily.
Fair enough. Which bring but again, it's at this point like in the film that this is a good film at this point. Like you've got lots of extras, you've got a plot, you've got danger, you've got all of that stuff. And the film's so long, and I don't know if you remember the bit, I think I pointed out when we were watching it, is there's like a scene, and this is where running, cannons, graves comes into it, because you've got literally, it's snap cuts between, they've obviously had this massive set like done, and they've got all these extras in, and you've got like 5 minutes, five solid minutes of people running towards the bridge, and it's like snap cut 1, people running. Now I've got 2 people running, 3 people running, 4 people running, 5 people running, and then it's cannons, bang, next cannon, bang, next cannon, bang, and they duck down to avoid the cannon, and they're like, oh look, here's some Acme dynamite.
Yeah, but also pointed out that the way that camp looked and disheveled and kind of desperate, they would just have like explosives lying around and saying explosives in like crayon written on it.
The film takes so long to do everything else, and it could not take 5 minutes for them to just look through a trunk to find some explosives.
Yeah, explosives just lying around.
Yeah, well, maybe, but it just seemed just an absolutely ridiculous thing. It seemed like it was intentionally comedic to me.
That bit I'm not sure, but maybe.
Especially, like I said, they've got so many scenes leading up to it. I mean, they obviously spent a lot of money on it, and they want to keep it in the film. And they want to make the most out of it in the film. Like, oh, look at all the special effects, and look at all the people we got for this. I will say this, though. The actual special effects, like practical special effects, blowing up the bridge and that's cool.
Yeah,
you know.
Because they blew up a bridge. It's literally...
Twice.
Yeah, they did it twice?
They did it twice, accidentally.
Oh.
So, yeah, they rigged the bridge. This is my last fun fact, by the way. One of the guys shouted something, but people mistook that as the explosion trigger. So then the person did the explosion, and the light was all wrong. And the director, who was like a known perfectionist, who was like, "No, we have to rebuild the bridge and we have to blow it up."
Wow, that's a fun fact.
So that skyrocketed the budget.
I bet. Yeah. Fuck me.
Yeah. And then finally we come to the end.
The amazing epic conclusion.
Yeah.
What did you think of the music? At this point, the music becomes really, really, really good.
So.
Oh no.
The music in the film. So obviously you have that iconic like.
Yeah, and you have variations on that as well. Like you have like ladies singing, and that is
like a slow one, a fast one, a loud one, a quiet one.
Yeah.
But that's my problem with it. It's everywhere. Like. It's the really iconic music, and you always associate that with westerns, and that's kind of the thing from the film that everybody knows.
Yeah.
But it becomes like this ridiculous, he walks through a door, turns to the left, hangs his hat on the thing.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think it's meant to be like a stinger. I think it's that part of the movie does feel outdated, definitely. The use of music, but the music itself, I think is wonderful.
Okay.
What about the end? The end, it's a different track.
Oh,
Two different tracks, which I didn't even remember. I remembered Ecstasy of Gold, which is when Tuco runs around in the graves.
For about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and you know what the point of that scene is? Is that so many fucking dead people, and it's fucking supposed to be upsetting, and he's looking for gold. That's the whole, kind of theme of the movie. That's why that's powerful. Because he's like, oh my god, gold, gold, gold. And it's just like, yeah, lots of time was just graves.
Great, yeah.
But the favorite bit of mine is when they... that also looks like really expensive. When they, zoom out. And there's just so many graves. It's so...
That's a real grave site.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can go visit it. Yeah,
Yeah?
that's a real,
I'd love to visit it.
grave site? Graveyard.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah. Cemetery.
That's okay. Yeah, fancy.
Whoa.
Look at you with your big words.
So yeah, that track "Ecstasy of Gold," which is Metallica, plays as far as I understand, every concert. They play their own rock version. And then I forgot the trio, which is when they have El Trio, I think the track name is, when they have that little showdown with the rock in the middle. Yeah, I forgot that track is really good as well. I love Ennio Morricone. And when he died, all the articles said, the guy who did Ooey Ooey Ooh died. I was just like, what the fuck, man? And he, it's so amazing. He's my favorite composer ever.
Then we come to the end, the actual end of the film, where they all face off in a shoot off together. Do you know they stare at each other for 3 minutes?
Yeah.
3 whole minutes they stare at each other, building tension.
building tension.
Building tension.
Not even building tension, just tension. Just completely like, oh my god, what the fuck's gonna happen?
No, you know what's going to happen. But that,
No,
of
you
course,
don't.
of course you know what's going to happen.
No.
Yes, you do.
Did you know that?
Definitely, yes.
Did you know that he took Tuco's bullets? Would you have guessed that?
I knew who was going to survive it. Who did Tuco aim at? The bad.
But my impression was that like Blondie kind of saved him.
Yeah.
He was gonna kill himself by being an idiot.
You knew that the good and the ugly were going to survive. Like, 100%.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the whole movie is so bleak. I don't think it would have been too out of place if the complete opposite happens. I honestly don't think that. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a dark movie when you
But-
think about all the horrible thing that happens.
Yeah, but like in still in terms of like old films, the good guy wins or the good people win because they've been teaming together for most of the film and they go through this journey together where they start to trust each other and then they just were going to survive. And again, you're just looking there for 3 minutes, like, come on. And I wasn't going to make this comparison
Oh, no.
because it is out there. It's like a reality show, where they're like, one contestant will make it through to the next round. And it's going to be the next winner of this reality show is...
We'll be back.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just kind of like, come on.
It is that, like, on the very most basic level. But I care about these characters. I care what you don't. So it was boring to you. It was exciting for me.
Okay.
Even if I've seen it, because I've seen it before, I didn't exactly know what happens. I didn't remember what exactly happened. So it's interesting to see, like, all the nuance with like Tuco's guns taken out. And
Did you know Tuco's gun's on a string
really,
for the whole film?
oh yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
I think it's to keep it close by, I guess.
So it's in originally he still doesn't have in the film a gun holster
Oh yeah.
because he can't like afford a gun holster. That's the implication.
Okay.
So, but he was supposed to just be dangling on a string for the whole film, but it kept like swinging around and hitting him in the crotch. So eventually the director's like, okay, you can put it in your pocket, and that's why he's got a gun on a
Okay.
string in his pocket.
Wasn't it around his neck at some point?
Potentially,
I think when there was that bath scene when the guy comes back for revenge.
When you have to shoot, don't talk.
he improved that line.
I know that one.
There you go.
Yeah. He's the standout actor this time.
He's well known for that. So yeah, that's okay. So when I wrote my review, it starts with why I probably went into this film unlikely to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And it's because of everything we've spoke about in terms of like, the Tarantino films that are heavily influenced. There's loads of things that are so heavily influenced by Westerns, by that time in cinema. And I do appreciate the idea that at the time it was new, it was original. You didn't have like blurred lines. You just had a good guy and a bad guy.
Yeah.
And the good guy won. And this is kind of takes that a little bit out of its zone. But the problem is, with a film that was made in 1967 again, those concepts have been picked up by like all the directors since, and they've been done better, they've been done worse, they've been made, bigger, they've been made smaller, they've been made and then made again, and it's difficult. They're just a cliche. They're the same old thing, boring, blah blah blah. And even though it is the original start of it, I've still seen it 100 times before in 100 different ways, better, worse, all of it. So the idea of I'm going to watch it and think, oh my god, this is amazing, because it's not new to me. I've seen it before. I've seen it's been done.
I think that's true if you focus on the details, but if you focus on the big picture, I haven't seen a movie like this before. A group of misfits who went on a journey during war, and there's war in the background, and everything is horrible, and they are looking for gold. I just haven't seen this movie before, like in this specific setup. Yes, the details where it's like the Mexican standoff, the this and that, but when you zoom out at the big picture, I think it's still original until they reboot it.
Well, yeah, I'm surprised they haven't already. But yeah, again, but there's so many things like you watch about like someone trying to get to somewhere through a backdrop of war, 1917. The film that's kind of takes him trying to get across the country that's at war. That's that kind of thing where like a group of people run across the country to try and get to a gold or a prize. The film Rat Race.
Rat Race.
Yeah,
It's mad world.
Like I said, there's so many films that take the elements of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and they make it better.
Yeah,
And-
again, you say elements, but I'm saying like this kind of combination of things. I
yeah,
think
but
is
it's a
original.
combination of things that I've already seen. It's not
not
new to me.
precisely.
Yeah, but no film that gets made is precisely a combination of other
but,
films.
Like a
But-
lot of films reuse tropes and this and that, but like, what's the big picture? I'm a big picture guy. I like themes and that kind of stuff. And this film like says something. War is horrible, which is a lot of films say, to be honest.
Yeah.
But in this specific, the way it's told and the way it's presented is completely unique. Still, I think.
Saving Private Ryan is another one where people walk through a war torn. And for me, that's more impactful because people die. People in the company. Fury, that's another one where they're just at war. There's so many films that do the horrors of war better than The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because there's consequences. At the end, like the only main character in the film that dies is the bad, and it's not. There's no emotional impact. There's no kind of real sense of loss from the main characters at any point in that film. They're just like, oh look, there's a war happening over there.
But I think that's the point. Is that like they're blinded by the gold.
There's no kind of scene where they just like, oh, the horror.
Yeah, because you're already experiencing it. There's the contrast of them wanting money, and then they're kind of like with blinds on, like a horse. They go through war. It's like a dark comedy. They're blinds on. They go through war, and there's all these horrible things. Remember that little scene? They want to go across the bridge to put the explosives on,
Right.
and there's a little bit where they.
Oh, it's the stretcher.
The stretch.
Yeah, that was actually in my notes. I thought I'd skip that because I was getting into details too much. Yeah, they
love that.
they follow this guy. It's like, but my note was what happened to the guy on the stretcher because they follow him in. They follow this two guys carrying the stretcher with this very injured man, and they just walk out with this empty stretcher. And you're like, everybody's probably
I don't
dead.
mean that exactly. I mean
Okay.
when they go with the stretcher with the explosives on, and then someone was walking towards them.
Yeah,
I think another pair of guys with stretchers.
yeah.
And then the good and the ugly, they pretend to pick like an injured guy up or dead guy up.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they're out of eye shot, they drop him and they just keep going.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a dark comedy.
Done better elsewhere. And it should have been done better elsewhere because they've had like 50 years to do better. So it makes sense that it has been done better since. Not like those specific pieces of the puzzle, but you people have taken a lot of concepts from that and added an extra bit or taken a bit away to kind of streamline it because it doesn't need streamline.
It's just I can't think about a movie like that, you know? I can't see a perspective. If you pick out pieces and make them better, that doesn't make it the same movie.
No, it doesn't. But I'm trying to think of a good example. I take, for example, like the new kind of trend in films where you like understand the bad guy's point of view and you see why they're there and what they're doing and the reason for that. You relate to them.
Yeah.
You don't relate to the bad in this. He is sick old man killing evil person, puppy kicking terror.
If you include that in this movie, you make that a different film. And this is this film.
And it should be a different film. That's why I don't like it. It's because it needs a lot more emotional impact, or it needs a lot of the film cutting out.
For me, it had plenty of emotional impact. And even I usually suck up like negativity from when I'm watching film, even if it's a film I like. And you and my girlfriend were moaning all the time.
Moaning all the time. I was very well behaved.
You're like making notes like you're acting up, making notes like, ooh, Tick, 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 tick. Another note. And another note.
This is another bad thing with this film.
Yeah. I think that's a good ending point.
We are never going to agree. We have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
It would be a pretty rubbish ending if we ended up just agreeing with each other.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. We both agree it's a terrible film.
I had a feeling you're not gonna like it. I was maybe 50-50 on it, that you might not like it. But at least I introduced you as a film critic to this piece of cinema history.
Yeah.
So there is some positive in it.
There
right?
is some. And, you know, I do try and watch the films that people, the classic films that people recommend and that people are so highly rated. Films like, you know, The Shawshank Redemption, which I didn't enjoy. Yeah. I think that's probably the most controversial thing that I can ever say.
I haven't seen it in such a long
People
time.
love that film.
So now that I introduce you to this amazing cinema experience, what are we gonna watch next?
Well, so you give me one amazing cinema experience. I'm going to give you a really popular film that's, you know, it's a sequel to a very beloved film.
Yeah.
Worthy of its of its predecessor. And we are going to watch Jumanji 2.
Okay.
And I can't remember the title. There's a tagline because there's a second and a third one, and they are completely identical films. And I can't remember. One's called Welcome to the Jungle, which I think is the second one, and then I don't know what the third one's called, unless it's Welcome to the Jungle. In which case, that's what. Not
Jumanji 2. Welcome to more Jumanji.
Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
The squeak.
Oh, there you go. Jumanji 2 is called The Next Level. My producer is just saying.
Oh, they're gonna put in like a video game thing.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Jumanji 2, Welcome to the Jungle, or well, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, it has a computer game. They get sucked into a computer game.
Well, I'm looking for
Incredibly popular comedic film. I look forward to your reaction to The Rock playing The Rock in the film about The Rock.
I think you misspoke. I think you mean a rock. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for everything.
Follow us on the things.
Yeah, all the things.
All the things. I'll record a thing.
Subscribe.
And smash that like button.
Oh, I hate that expression.
Hello everyone. This is Dan from the future. You can get in contact with us on Instagram. I hate your movie with an underscore after each word. So I_hate_your_movie. And we also have a Patreon where we're gonna release bonus episodes for $1 a piece. And the first one should be up already, called We Hate Cocaine Bear, about the new Elizabeth Banks movie, which was pretty terrible and we both hated it. Spoiler alert, don't watch it. Our Patreon is I Hate Your Movie, so you should be able to find it. And thank you very much for Borogato for the logo, and thank you for Espety42 for the music. I'll try to link them if that's possible below. Check out tripolar.co.uk, tripolar.co.uk for amazing graphic novels that I make. Also, me and Rick are working on a card game called Singularity Hacks. So for that, check out singularityhacks.co.uk. And thank you very much again for listening.